Hey everybody, welcome to Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective. This is episode 132 for the week of July 11th, 2021. I am your host, Drew, and I am joined by... Will, I don't have anything, man. What's your nickname this week? Make something up.
Man Cave Will.
Man Cave Will. I'm joined by Man Cave Will. What's going on?
There we go. For all the viewers.
Oh my god, it is so washed out.
Anyway, it says Man Cave by Masculine Aromas Collection. Poured in California, soy wax blend made in small batches. And it smells terrific. It smells like a man.
I have black tuxedo from the same company.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous because I really wanted that one when I saw it at a store called Home Sense when we were shopping for the apartment, and we didn't get it.
I'm just going to sit here
it's
the entire episode. I'm just going to be like...
with it. Huffing that tuxedo, man. I do that with Play-Doh sometimes at work. I know that sounds absolutely atrocious, but...
All right. First of all,
colleagues.
Can you tell me?
Explain.
Yes, please. Tell me how you have Play-Doh at work, please.
Sure. So here's a backstory. So I love Play-Doh. I should say I loved it, but I've grown to love it again as a 36-year-old man. And the reason why is because one of my work colleagues, who's technically one of my bosses, who's like in his 40s, he has Play-Doh on his desk. And I asked him about it one day. I was like, hey, man, like, what's up with the Play-Doh, child? And he's like, you don't like it? Go ahead, give it a whiff. And I was like, all right, fine. I was like, oh, shit. I totally remember this smell from my childhood. So... he gave me one to play around with, and I put it on my desk, and I would sniff it every once in a while because I do enjoy the smell of Play-Doh. And then Lauren bought me my own little miniature one. It's a green one, and I have that on my desk as well. And it's just fun to kind of just squeeze, kind of like a stress ball. And when I'm just having a rough day, I smell it a couple times, squeeze it a couple times, and and then I put it back in the container, and then it just sits there.
Oh my goodness! Just smell it a couple times, and then put it back in the container. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I could see the jokes, arising as we speak.
Oh god, I feel like that should be our episode title already. Just smell it a few times.
Just smell it a few times.
No wonder nobody listens to this show.
Freaking weirdos.
Oh man. So if you are tuning in our Twitch broadcast, thank you for tuning in and watching. As you can see, we are still experiencing some minor technical difficulties with video going in and out of sync. So we got a few more tricks up our sleeve that we're going to be trying throughout. In case you're tuning in for the first time, you might see Will just turn into Cyclops for some reason, and then just like that.
One of those.
And then he'll come back.
Bam.
It's like magic, but it's the internet. So, hey.
Maybe that's what David Copperfield was doing back in the 90s, man. Is just
Dude.
hitting the video button and hitting it again.
He's just doing refresh over and over again.
Yeah.
Oh my
He's
God.
like, here I am in Hawaii. Now I'm not here.
Oh God.
That was a
Episode.
dad joke. Borderline
Thanks,
dad joke.
thanks to Epic Outro for another dad joke. He says, episode 133, Will moves back to his previous dwelling.
I know, man. Like, I kind of want to go back just so we don't have to deal with these issues. So, yeah, if you do see that happen, that is me refreshing my video. We do have a couple other tricks up our sleeves, like Drew had mentioned. Probably migrating to a different video platform, and we'll get it ironed out.
Yeah.
So just bear with us.
Seems like that's going to be the best solution. Just a quick detour back to David Copperfield for a second. Do you remember back in the day on his specials, he would do these card games, and he would have the cards on the TV, and he would tell you to touch the TV, and he would like eliminate all these cards and tell you what your card was. Do you remember those?
Vaguely, yes.
Oh my God. I used to be like so enamored with those. And as an adult, I'm sure it was just some sort of mathematical equation to eliminate a certain number of cards. And ultimately everybody gets to the same spot. But, I used to do that all the time, man. And I would just be like sitting in front of the TV, this big like 19-inch CRT that was encased in the fucking console, from 1974. And
Oh, yeah. Behemoth.
and like the color is so bad on it, it's like you can't even tell the difference between like the diamonds and the spades. it's so bad. And I was like little 5-year-old Drew's like touching the screen.
Oh, yeah, man.
Oh
We
man,
were a David Copperfield household
Yeah, I
growing
think-
up in the 90s.
everybody was, man. Everybody was.
Well, he was the hot ticket back then, and he still is. I looked him up a couple years ago, and he's still doing stuff in Vegas, and he's worth a fuck ton of money.
If I ever get a chance to go to Vegas, I will probably do what I can to go see his show. Honestly, I have to imagine it's amazing.
Yeah, no, he's good at what he does, man. I did see him live once, actually. I think
Really?
it was at Foxwoods or Mohegan. Yeah.
Wow.
It was forever ago. And he made a whole fire engine disappear on stage. And that one was crazy because it didn't look like a hologram. It looked like a legit fire engine.
Yeah.
And it was gone. It was gone after like maybe 5 seconds. And I don't understand how they did that. They must have found a way to drive it off, or it was some kind of stage trick. But my God. That was pretty impressive.
That's awesome, man. Like, it's one thing to like try to do that with like a person or even a small vehicle I could see, because there's all kinds of tricks. But a fire engine? Yeah. I don't know, man. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it still has me stumped to this day, Drew.
Killer Sirach in the Twitch chat is asking if the show format changed to magic and sorcery. And indeed, you are listening to Will and Drew's Magic Retrospective. Thanks for tuning in. You can find us on the web at www.wdgrpodcast.com. Of course, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WDGR Podcast. Will, how can they find you?
SoundCloud.com/Will_gear.
And you can find me at CyanStorm. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. It is good to be back. I was on vacation last week. And
You were.
yeah, man. Pretty low key. Nikki and I had originally wanted to, we wanted to go away. We've never been away for more than like a weekend. We've been together since 2009, right? So what's that, 11 years, 13 years,
Sure.
12? I don't fucking know. I can't count anymore. Been together a long time, right? And we've never like gone away for a week by ourselves. We've done weekends, bed and breakfast, a couple days at Foxwoods, or we did a couple nights in Boston a few years ago for my birthday, but we've never gone away for a week. So the year of our wedding, we're like, all right, we're gonna do some sort of a honeymoon the following year because we paid for the wedding the first year. Well, the following year ended up being last year, 2020, and we all know how that went. So like, all right, well, this year will be the year we'll go on vacation. And then I put like $1,200 into my car, and then we built a new fence for the garden, and we did all these different things. And long story short, we're broke. We don't have any more money. So vacation is done. No vacation this year. So we ended up just doing like a staycation at home. And, it was pretty nice. It was kind of relaxing. We kind of piggybacked off the 4th of July holiday. And, we did some stuff around the house, put a little bit of work into the garden, which is, man, the garden is something else right now. We are dealing with a combination of good and bad with it. We have more of those squash beetles that we dealt with last year. I don't remember if I talked about that on the air. I think I talked about it with you.
I do recall.
Yeah, so to kind of fill everybody in, for those that don't recall, last year we had these beetles that were eating our squash plants and like literally stripping the leaves down to their skeletons. It's pretty terrible. Well, they're back this year. And now that we know that they're invasive, like we can try to be proactive about killing them. And like every day we're out there in the garden checking to make sure that there's no larvae on the leaves, that there's, if we do see any bugs, that we murder them violently, things like that. So I like literally going out to the garden with like a Tupperware container full of water and with a little bit of dish soap in it, because they can't stay on the surface of the water if the dish soap, I guess, kind of breaks up the water surface, right?
Sure.
I'm going out there, I'm picking those things, and then I found out that we have another type of bug that I can't get to, which is like some sort of a squash boring insect. It gets into like the roots. It's separate from these beetles. And we have a third beetle, which is like this yellow striped beetle. And Nikki read something where like they're basically attracted to the yellow on the flowers of the squash, the zucchini. So if you get yellow bowls and fill those up with the same water dish detergent solution, they'll be attracted to it. They'll think it's a flower. They'll fall in and die. So
wow.
she bought some bowls. We put them outside yesterday. And when I came home today, I went outside to take a look, filled with fucking bugs. The ones we wanted
Jesus.
and the ones we didn't. So it's working. I'm hoping it continues to work. So that's one thing, but we got a ton of squash and zucchini coming in. The acorn squash is out of this world. Deer ate my cucumbers, so we had to replant those, which sucks.
Oh my.
Yeah, I found this this spray. It's called what the hell is it called? It's like Deer Defender 2 or something, or Deer. It's not Deer Hunter, but it's like Deer Defender or Deer Stopper 2.
Sounds about right.
And the number 2 is actually in the title because they've made a Deer Stopper 1 and apparently it didn't stop them enough. So Deer Stopper 2, like you spray the stuff, it smells like cloves. It is like the best smell I've ever smelled. But,
really?
Oh my God. I could just drink the bottle and just cover myself in it. It would be great. But, yeah, it's probably poisonous, so I'm not going.
I was expecting something. I was expecting something the equivalent of off bug spray, like Deep Woods, extra DEET.
No, this is just
but cloves. That was never on my mind.
It's the smell. I guess they don't like the smell of the cloves. So, but yeah, man.
Cloves! I thought you were talking about like
clothing,
fresh laundry, like as in clothes. yeah, like clothing. I was like, what?
No. Like cloves.
Cloves
like
with a V.
Yeah, like you would use for baking and such. So
sure.
I'm sorry. Killer Sirach says he thought I said clothes as well.
Okay.
So sorry about that.
It's that Ansonia accent, man.
Closet. Sorry.
That Ansonia dialect.
Oh goodness. Dear love fresh laundry. Oh man. So we sprayed that. That's organic, by the way, too. I've been doing everything in my power to like avoid using pesticides, and so far the clove spray is the only one that we've used, and I guess it is organic, so I feel a little bit better about that. Metro, what are you doing? My cat's losing his shit.
I heard a meow.
Okay, so that's good. I don't know what's going on, Will. Let's see here. So we did that. We returned some bottles. We had a garage full of bottles to return, so we did that. We had like $15. Not bad.
Okay.
We went out to dinner a bunch. Saturday, we went to a Mets game. It ended up being a doubleheader because they got rained out on Thursday. Metro's still losing his shit down the hall. And then
God bless him.
On Friday, we actually went to a very magical place in Southington, Connecticut. And it is everything that a guy who likes everything.
Guy stuff.
Guy stuff. Everything a guy who likes guy stuff could want. But even like Nikki had a great time too, right? So this premises is there's a restaurant in like its own separate building, and then behind the restaurant is a repurposed factory, and there's more than one building of the factory, but the main building, there's one building has like shops and stuff, the other building I think has offices. So the restaurant is a barbecue place called Smokin' with Chris, and it's a place that I've been to. I think this was my third or fourth time. Some of the best barbecue I've ever had, right? If you like ribs, pulled pork, brisket, there's absolutely nothing there for you, unfortunately.
Maybe a side of mac and cheese or something.
They do have mac and cheese. The mac and cheese is pretty good. I don't think it's as good as they say it is, but you know, it's enjoyable. But it's certainly nothing that I haven't had elsewhere. Their claim to fame is their ribs, though, and the ribs do live up to that. And then in the factories, we have a barcade called Gamecraft, which you and I have spoken about before as wanting to check out. Next to Gamecraft is an axe throwing place. Next to the axe throwing place, or well, further into the building, you have a coffee roaster. You have a chocolatier. They make their own chocolates on premises. There's a brewery called Witch Doctor Brewing. There's an escape room. And it's all in like the same area. So like you could just go park your car and it's like a theme park for adults. So
what was the population like that day?
Well, it was a Friday. We went pretty early. So we kind of coordinated things around the operating hours of the businesses. The coffee shop closed at 5, and the axe throwing didn't start until 4. And neither did Gamecraft. That didn't open until 4 either. And then we knew that the chocolatier closed at 7. So we're like, mathing all this stuff out. Where do we have to be to go to everything?
Like the Big E.
Kind of. So we went to the coffee shop. Nobody in there. Had some coffee, sat down, relaxed, killed some time. And then at 4 o'clock, we went over to the axe throwing place. We practically opened the place. There wasn't anybody there. When we left, it was pretty busy. So, and that was a lot of fun. They had a lot of different types of games. It's very similar to darts in the games that you can play. You have the concentric rings with the different values, and you're trying to hit them. And depending on what game you're playing, it could be just something as simple as trying to get a bullseye, or it could be something like you have to get certain numbers in a certain order, or they have a variant just like cornhole where your opponent throws, you throw, and then you math it out to see who cancels who out and who gets the points. And that was like a 75-minute thing, and that was a ton of fun. We had a great time. Everybody there was wonderful. They have a separate room you can get for parties and stuff. So like if we were to get like a big group of people together, it would be a great time. So from there, Nikki and I went to the chocolatier, and we controlled ourselves and only bought 2 things instead of 20. So she ended up getting some chocolate covered Oreos, and I ended up getting some like strawberry cream things, both outstanding. And the prices were pretty reasonable, for the most part. And then we went to get dinner from there, barbecue. So we both picked out some ribs, and then we went to Gamecraft, and Gamecraft was packed. I'd say the place is probably a little larger than... it's a little larger than Barcade in New Haven. But the thing that I found, there are a couple things that were different than Barcade. First of all, Barcade, I don't know if you remember this, but it still had a vibe to it of being a New Haven bar. Where there's a lot of people that are there just to get laid. They don't really give a shit about the arcade machines, right? Everybody in Gamecraft was there to play the video games.
Okay.
And it is a refreshing change of pace. All ages, all genders, just everybody's there just to play some video games and get drunk. And it was wonderful. And this place has a ton of pinball machines. I don't know if you're a pinball guy. They have a lot of pinball there. In fact, I would say their pinball selection blows Barcade out of the water. But Barcade has a better selection of games, in my opinion.
Okay.
So it's kind of, kind of off. And like, now that I think about it too, like they had a Soul Calibur machine there that I played for a little while. And I don't know if you remember this. I don't. It must have been like the very first revision of it or something, because Mitsurugi's name was Arthur. Do you remember that?
Ooh, no, not at all.
Yeah, this is the first time I had seen it. I forgot to look it up.
This is Soul Calibur 1?
Soul Calibur 1. I'm trying to see. I guess, let's see here. I'm looking at... He's a fictional character. He makes an appearance in the first Soul Calibur, where he replaces Mitsurugi in countries that discourage samurai imagery and references, such as Korea, as well as in several arcade machines in the United States. This is fascinating. In his first appearance, he looks exactly like Mitsurugi, except with blonde hair and an eye patch. His weapon, move list, and ending are identical to Mitsurugi's. That is just absolutely fascinating. I had no awareness of his existence.
Arthur,
yeah. I guess it's supposed to be like King Arthur or something, but they do bring him into the series proper later on, I guess, in Soul Calibur 3. I don't really know.
Interesting.
Yeah, very fascinating. Arthur Pendragon, is that his name? No, that's I'm not even going to go there. Anyway,
this is like Flynn Taggart.
It really is. Like, because this is something that I wanted to look up before, and I completely forgot about it until just now. Arthur was a very real thing. Just blonde hair, Mitsurugi with an eye patch. Yeah, I guess it's just some versions of the arcade. You had Arthur. That's it.
Huh.
So
you would think that it would be Siegfried, you know?
Yeah, you would, but I guess it's something with the samurai thing.
Huh. Well, you learn something new every day.
Yeah.
My memories of Barcade in New Haven are not clear because I only went there that one time when you and I discussed the podcast. So,
yeah,
I mean, I remember we played some kind of Daytona game or some sort of racing game. And then I remember getting some kind of gross beer and just chatting. And, we had a great time. And I think we were coming off of the strength of Mecha Noodle. But yeah, that was kind of a cold, classic, grimy New Haven night,
Yeah.
And that's New Haven for you, man. It's not a pretty place.
Oh, you know what? We did go to New Haven one day on vacation too. Nikki had never been to Louis' Lunch, so we went there, got some burgers.
I have a question
yes.
before you move on. Louis' Lunch. When I worked at the Hamden Men's Warehouse, which was, just a stone throw away from New Haven, I heard a lot of folks saying that Louis' Lunch has this sort of unspoken rule where you cannot ask for ketchup. And if you do, they'll dismiss you.
Well, I've never seen them dismiss anybody, but that is the rule. They make their burgers one way, and it's their way, and if you don't like that, go somewhere else. And that's very much the attitude there. It's a piece of ground meat, and I guess they use like 4 or 5 different cuts of beef to kind of blend it together. They grill it with onions in a vertical grill. It's like it sandwiches it like a toaster, and it grills like this with the onion attached to it. And then they serve it to you on white toast with what is essentially Cheese Whiz. And it is undoubtedly one of the best burgers you'll ever have. And you can get it with a slice of tomato on it too. They'll put tomato on it. But if you want mustard or pickles or lettuce even, no. Get the fuck out. They don't have it.
Wow. What an interesting concept. White toasted bread, huh?
Yep.
Now, are we talking like Wonder Bread here or like a nice farmhouse rustic white?
No, like Wonder Bread.
It is like Wonder Bread.
Yeah. Yeah, very much.
So it sounds like their concept there is let's put something around this burger, but let's make it so neutral that the only thing you taste is the Cheese Whiz in the burger.
You don't even really chase a Cheese Whiz, honestly. The burger has the burger has so much fucking flavor to it. You don't need anything else.
Interesting.
Like if I handed you, again, I know vegetarian, but
right.
I could hand you the burger cooked and be like, eat this, and it would be delicious.
Fascinating.
I don't know what they season it with, but it is just wonderful. And in the chat, Epic Outro is mentioning Ted Steam Burgers, and I to elaborate on that for those that aren't familiar, Ted Steam Burgers They take the ground beef and they stick it in like this gigantic steamer, and they put each piece of beef in like a tray that's like yay wide, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they steam the burgers in that, and they come out and they're juicy and they're absolutely fantastic. But it's different. It's not the same type of thing, because I can go to Ted's and I can tell them to put cheese on it and ketchup and everything that you would want on a burger. And you could go to Ted's and just get a steamed cheese without the burger, and that's fucking great too. But it's a different experience.
No, when you say Ted's, are we talking about Ted's Montana Grill where they make bison burgers?
No, Ted's steamed cheeseburgers in Meriden.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, poor Scooby Diesels. We're making him hungry in the chat. We apologize, Scooby.
That dude, Scooby is always coming to the table with just fire meals.
Agreed.
So I can't blame him. And logistics wise, Louis' Lunch is across from Bar, right?
Yes, it is. So,
Okay.
as is traditional in New Haven, pre-COVID, you would go to Bar on a Friday night, get completely shit-faced, and as you stumble out of Bar, the only place that's still open is Louis' Lunch.
Oh, really?
And that's a thing. I've never done it. I've never been a bar person.
Yes.
Either that place or any bar really. But yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing.
Interesting. Yeah, bar is a shit show at night, man. I've been there on several occasions. Took Lauren out there when we first started dating, and what a mess. I mean, it's a good time. Like they have the mashed potato pizza, which they're accredited for, and all that stuff. But
Right.
there's just beer on the floor, and the floor is sticky, and everybody's just shit faced. And yeah, it's a mess, but it's a good time, and
Yeah.
it's a bunch of just Yale students that are just getting wrecked over there.
Yeah, I have not had the opportunity to have their pizza, but it is legendary. Usually when people talk about New Haven pizza, they're talking about Pepe's, Sally's, Modern, and Bar. So
You and I have been lucky enough to have all of those, and we went to Modern once.
yeah, I'm a big fan of Modern. I've never been to Bar. That's the only one that I haven't hit. So, but yeah, Modern, and I mean Sally's I haven't been to in quite some time. They always had like really weird hours, and then they closed the place and then they sold it, and I don't know what their hours are anymore.
That's 100% true. Their hours are really strange. I think they open at 3 p.m. or something like that.
Something.
And it's one of those kind of situations where you go in, you have to have cash, can't make a reservation. You just show up with cash, lucky if you find a table, and that's kind of it.
Pretty much, yeah. And the thing with Sally's is they have sold the place. It's not the original owners. I have a feeling they've brought it up to the 21st century at this point.
I hope so, man.
And I heard something about them franchising it, and I think they're going to have more than one location. So,
Well, there are a lot of folks out there, including my direct boss, who are convinced that it's the greatest pizza in the world.
Sally's.
And I don't know about that because there's a lot of pizza to try, and I think every place has its place. Like this New Haven trifecta of Pepe's, Modern, and Sally's, they're all great. But Sally's definitely does have a very unique sauce to cheese ratio, and I think that's why a lot of people enjoy it.
Yeah, I'd have to kind of refresh my memory with it. I was a kid when I had it, so.
Oh, okay.
So
we'll go.
Yeah, we'll have to. Dude, one of these days we're just gonna go to all of them in one day.
Yeah, we need a full day.
I just need like the pizza adventure.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's been basically my vacation. I ate a lot of food. We didn't cook at home once. It was kind of nice.
Dude, that sounds like a pretty awesome vacation. I know you guys didn't get to go anywhere per se, but given the fact that you still did a lot, that's nice. Did you have any time to just completely unwind?
I mean, we had a lot of rain, so yes. It rained literally every fucking day. So there was 1 or 2 days where we just didn't really do anything. We just kind of sat on the sofa and just kind of, chilled out and watched some TV. I really didn't play a lot of games. I did dabble in one, which I'll get into a little bit later on, but yeah, I mean, it's a very uneventful podcast for me today because I didn't. Eh.
Yeah, this is a video game podcast, folks. So stay tuned. We got stuff on the near horizon here.
Well, let's start off with one of your topics, man. You've been playing some Warzone, huh?
Yeah, who am I?
Yeah.
I don't play Call of Duty.
Well, I'm
I
confused,
certainly
but
don't
go on.
play. Yeah, I certainly don't play battle royale games either. So this is new to me. And long story short, Lauren's boss at the place that we work, he's a gamer.
Yeah.
He has an Xbox. He's part of that ecosystem, and he was like, "Man, we got to do some gaming." And he calls it jamming. He's like, "We got to jam soon, man." And I was like, "All right, well, I don't know how, but we're gonna have to find something that's cross-play or cross-platform." So we started doing some research and we were pulling up different links online of what games are compatible between, Xbox and PS5. And we agreed that Warzone is probably the best bet because it's free and it will work between both consoles. So we downloaded it. That was, oh my God. I don't want to go on a rant here, but every single time I've downloaded any kind of Call of Duty game, it's always a nightmare. When I had Modern Warfare, if you remember, I spoke about this on the show. It was a very lengthy download, even though I bought the physical edition. So that was absolute horseshit. Needless to say, with Warzone, here's the shtick. You don't need Modern Warfare to play it, they claim. But when you download Warzone, there's a Modern Warfare file that sneakily just makes its way into your console and it
course.
downloads in the background.
Okay.
So basically what happened is we downloaded the game, it was installed, but then we couldn't play it and we couldn't figure out how or why we couldn't play it. So I had to learn that on the PS5, the download section is hidden within a menu. So the whole time I couldn't see that there was this background download going on. And I had to literally go on YouTube and read comments to find out what was actually happening. Like a random, the 53rd comment on somebody's video revealed what I had to do. And you're like, you got to hit the PS logo on your controller, and then in the sort of sub menu bar at the bottom, it's going to show you a little arrow pointing down. And then I looked in there, and sure enough, there was this weird additional Modern Warfare download that was running in the background.
That is so Sony.
Yeah. But what was interesting is like Mike went through the same thing. He owns Cold War, he owns Modern Warfare, he owns all of the Call of Duty games. And for some reason he went through a similar issue and it was just a nightmare for him as well. It was a nightmare for Vic, who eventually joined us one night.
So he's playing on an Xbox.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, actually Mike is playing on an Xbox One S.
Okay.
Vic is on a Series X and I'm on a PS5. But
That is wild but awesome.
anyhow, so that happened, and then, man, this game is a shit show. I've been out of the whole Call of Duty ecosystem for so many years. Like the last one I played was Black Ops 1. To be fair, I did play World War II, a very small portion of it, and then I also played a tiny portion of Modern Warfare, which is pretty much the newest one, excluding Cold War. And everything is just, the way I described it is it's basically the game player base is a bunch of Mountain Dew Code Red drinking tweens, which really is it's no different than the Call of Duty player base.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's gotten worse, and man, this game is in your face. I don't think I have the text anymore, but I had Vic text me, and he gave me a description of how he felt about the experience after we played.
Oh my
and it was
gosh.
so accurate. And basically, the experience is, it's like PUBG. It's a battle royale game. You choose your class or whatever, or you pick your loadout. You play duos, trios, or quads or whatever, which means that you can play with one person. That would be duos. So if Mike and I are running duos, it's just the two of us, and we're a team.
Okay.
We fly in via helicopter. You drop into the map after you choose an area that you would like to drop in. You parachute in. You try to parachute into somewhere safe so you don't get killed immediately. And I'm sure you know the concept. The concept is to not die, loot for gear and weapons in buildings, and stick with your teammate and try to kill people and try and stay alive. And these games are huge, so there's hundreds of players. So it could take hours for you to, get a chicken dinner, as they would say in the PUBG world.
Yeah.
So we haven't made it that far, but everything about this game is so loud and obnoxious. Like all three of us had to spend an exponential amount of time in the menus adjusting the game volume, the voice chat volume, all these things we had to adjust just to make the game bearable for somebody who's like a mature adult that doesn't want to have like a helicopter that sounds like it's literally in the room.
So as you're talking about this, I was able to get some gameplay footage up on the screen, and it looks identical to PUBG in every way except everything is on fast forward.
Yeah.
Like,
This game is fast. It's fast. It's explosive. It's loud. Um, it's just the way that they present a kill or anything that's happening on the screen is these huge prompts that just come up on the screen, which is really, again, no different than how even a kill would be in the older Call of Duties where it would say plus 100 and then it would disappear.
right.
But it's just more now. It's just like, here you go, here you go, here you go, all the time. And then when you die, what happens is you go to this place called the Gulag, which is like a torture chamber. It's the dumbest name, dude. So you get into the Gulag, right? And I'm like laughing as I'm telling Mike, I'm like, dude, the Gulag? Really?
Get him to the Gulag.
Yeah, and he goes, oh yeah, you got to survive, man. Toss some rocks. And as you're waiting for your chance to fight somebody else in order to win the battle to go back into the game, you're up on these rafters and you're throwing rocks at the other two people below you that are fighting to survive. It's so crazy, and everybody just goes like fucking ape shit in there. Everybody's running around like a child, sliding, throwing rocks. It's just everybody's going bananas. And you can tell that the people playing are, anywhere from the age of 8 to, probably 18 at the latest.
Oh my god.
Probably not true, but that's certainly how they're behaving. And then when it's your turn, you are randomly given a weapon. It could be 2 pistols, it could be a knife, it could be a machine gun, and you have to face off against one other person. If you lose, you're out. If you win, you can have a chance to redeploy back into the game again.
Oh my god.
And that's pretty much Call of Duty Warzone as a whole.
How many times have you played this since you installed it?
A lot of sessions. I wouldn't say like, hundreds of times, but I've definitely played a good, I don't know, probably like 20, 25 games, something like that total. And I was getting into this rhythm where I was playing with Mike at least, 2-3 times a week. He would text me at, 6:30 after I had dinner. And basically the only reason I'm playing this game is because he wanted somebody to play with. And he just wanted more people to play with outside of his Destiny group because he's a big Destiny guy. So I was like, you know what? Fine. I'll play with you and we'll see how this goes. But now I just want to retire after, a couple weeks of playing this horrible game. I mean, granted, it is fun at times, but I am convinced by Vic that PUBG is the way to go. I'll try it, but I'm not buying that game until it's like $5 or free. I just don't want to spend 30 on a game that, when it comes to Battle Royale, it's not really my thing. So I don't want to spend that kind of money right now.
I mean, PUBG's been on sale a couple of times. I don't know what the price would normally go for on the PlayStation. Xbox, it's been on sale a bunch. So, I'm sure you could probably score it for a decent price at some point. I think it was a PS Plus game at one point too. So I don't know if you just grab them habitually or not, or if it's a title you're interested in, but you may have it in your collection.
Yeah, and the other thing too is the menus in this game are so confusing. There's so many different like battle packs and all these unlockable things that every single time you play a game, you have no idea what anything is. And there's so many loadouts and kill streak choices and perks and all this stuff, and all those things were always in Call of Duty, but there's just everything's just so, it's all just more, and after every game you unlock like 100 different things. So after every game you're also your head's spinning. You're like, I don't even know what just happened. Dude, the first game, Drew, that I launched into, I got killed by a helicopter that pointed its blades down and chopped me in half. I spawned in. I didn't even know how to play the game. I spawned in. I'm like, all right, I'm on a parachute. I'm going to hit the ground now. I got to get to safety. And literally this chopper just comes in at this angle like this and just goes. And I'm like, okay. So I got a lot to learn.
Oh my god, it is like fucking Call of Duty for the TikTok generation, man.
I mean, seriously, dude, I don't know if I have that text anymore, but even if I had it, you wouldn't understand what he was saying because it was very specific to the experience. But man, Vic understood the pain that we were experiencing.
Maybe he can chime in, once he hears this and just drop a screenshot of that text message in our Discord room. That would be wonderful.
I'm sure he still has it.
Oh man. Well, you'll have to keep us apprised as to whether or not you continue your Mountain Dew Code Red Warzone adventures.
Ugh. It just reeks of like gamer fuel teenagers.
I bet you, like, just talking about this game, you could feel the sugar on your teeth.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And we even teamed up with a couple randoms a couple times, and man, they were so aggressive. Like at one point, they were like, "Yo, Blue, drop your money, drop your money." And my buddy Mike was like, he was like a blue, like his name was lit in blue, so that's how you communicate when you don't know the person. You just call off their color.
Yeah.
And Mike was like, "Why am I dropping my money?" And they were like, "Dude, because we got to get the weapon over here." And we were just so overwhelmed because these guys were, Warzone veterans. And in the background, you just hear like dogs barking and like children screaming and shit, babies screaming.
That's the worst.
Them yelling like, "Hey, tell him to shut up. I'm playing Call of Duty. Tell him to shut up now." Yo, Mike, or like, "Yo, Blue, drop your money. Drop your money." And I'm just like, what on earth? I don't even know like what weapon I have. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing.
And this guy's got a kid that's like crying for food, and he's playing Call of Duty Warzone.
Yeah, and he wants Blue to drop his money.
Blue, drop your money.
That doesn't even exist.
Oh
Yeah,
my
so
god,
that's Warzone, man. The last thing I'll say is one night I played a lot, and it was with Vic, Mike, and Mike's son. And Mike's son was an 18-year-old hyperactive kid. It was a trip.
Yeah.
And I went to bed late, and I couldn't sleep. And this is the first night in a long time I could not go to sleep. And I was like, fucking Warzone, dude. I just blamed it on Warzone.
Yeah.
Because since everything's so in your face, I was like, this is why I can't sleep. Game's too overwhelming.
Vortex is in the chat. He is yelling, "Drop your money." Vortex, if you could, please transcribe your text message to Will describing this game.
Yes, please do. I don't know if I have the conversation. I often delete conversations off my phone just for clarity. But if you still have that text and I know which one you're talking about, or I know which one.
He says a game for ADHD.
Wait, what?
Oh, he's looking for it. Okay, all right. So we'll circle back to that in a moment. But yeah, man. This looks like a shit show. This video just looks like an absolute shit show. This guy is running around with. I know that you closed Twitch because you wanted to try to optimize the video, but it doesn't seem to be helping. So just go ahead and open up Twitch again, so you can see this guy running around with this lime green like Mountain Dew machine gun. Well, now he's got a regular gun. I think it's a sniper rifle. It has a scope. No, there's a lime green. This is like, it's like camouflage, but it's like colors that will never camouflage. All right.
Oh my God, look at that.
Vortex says, and I quote, "It's just nonstop grata-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, boom, boom, grata-ta-ta-ta-ta, fire sale, jailbreak, grata-ta-ta-ta-ta, enemy inbound, Chank, welcome to the gulag, grata-ta-ta-ta-ta, loadout incoming."
That's it, man.
Oh, God.
That is it. I mean, talk about accuracy. Like when he sent me that message, I was like, dude, this is literally the entire experience in a paragraph.
Oh my God. I feel like I need to experience this with you.
I mean, it's free. It's free with a sneaky Modern Warfare download in the background.
Oh God. I'll have to give it some thought.
That weapon looks like something out of Qzar back at the Milford Rec.
Dude, I had a paintball gun that looked better than that.
Yeah, but like look at the movement of this dude.
Yes.
Like this is how you have to play. You have to play with incredible reflexes.
Yeah.
That are traditionally only capable from high amounts of caffeine, or you have to have Vic genes and just be part of that realm of movement.
Is this guy in the gulag? Is this a gulag with the TV screens?
Yeah. This is it.
Oh
so
my
you
God.
break the chains. Look at him. He's breaking out of the chair. and then you run around like a fucking maniac and you throw these rocks at people, and here's his turn right here. So
Oh,
he's got the machine gun. There's the other dude. He's got to figure out a way to kill him before he gets killed.
oh my God. And then if he can manage to do that, then he's back in the game.
He's back in the game. If he doesn't, then he's dead and he can just spectate.
Do these games like theoretically go on forever? Like it seems like they're trying to eliminate the one shot one kill of PUBG. You know, like because in PUBG when you're dead. Unless you're
Yes.
playing like I guess a specific mode. Somebody that's more educated about PUBG can explain that better than I can. But from what I recall, it's like when you got shot and you died, you're done. You might as well just quit the game. There's no reason to stay in it till the end because you're not going to be there.
Yeah, I guess you could say the same about Fall Guys.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, this experience, I don't know if I can really answer the "is it never ending"
Mm,
question, but I mean, the way like when you die,
mm,
it's not very hard to just get right back into a game again. You just leave with your team
mm-hmm.
and you just get right back into another one. So the experience is definitely probably a lot faster than what you're experiencing in PUBG's format.
Gotcha. I'm exhausted just watching this video.
Yeah, I mean, I feel kind of drained watching this and just describing the experience because it's just that overwhelming. And also, you'll see him picking up little armor plates here, and
Mm,
it makes enemies pretty difficult to kill
mm-hmm.
because a lot of times they have three armor plates on, which is also kind of the point of the game is you want to collect them and load yourself up with armor plates, making yourself that much harder to take down.
Mm, fair enough. All right. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh man. So what's next on the list tonight? We got oh um let's talk about Planet Alpha real quick. This is
Sure.
speaking of Vortex. This actually comes off a recommendation from him, and I don't have a ton to say about this game yet because I haven't had a lot of time to put into it. But it was one of the only games I played while I was on vacation, and I think I can sum it up best by just calling it exactly what it is. It's inside the video game.
Oh, really?
It is through and through the same type of thing. Obviously, the art direction is going to be completely different, but you're playing as this alien or astronaut. It is never really explicitly said. And the planet that you're on is being attacked, and you are trying to escape from various robots and aliens and creatures that are landing on the planet to murder your entire race. And in the footage that I'm showing right now, it's kind of very tutorial-y. You know, there's some plant life that you're able to climb up and some rocks that you can't quite reach and, you know, things that you have to push to kind of get where you need to go. But eventually, like, the shit starts hitting the fan, and the next thing you know, you're sneaking around, hiding behind objects, trying to, you know, conceal yourself in the tall grasses from things that are trying to murder you. And you know, the story is untold. You're kind of piecing things together as you go, just like Inside. It's relying on atmosphere and gameplay to basically tell you everything you need to know as you need to know it. And yes, it is Game Pass, Scooby, so you have access to this already. The name of the game is Planet Alpha. Planet Alpha. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Vortex is saying it's got a little bit of Abe's Odyssey in it. I don't see that yet. I'm not saying that it's not there. I just haven't encountered it yet. This is, to me, through and through an homage to Inside, and I don't see it really touching on any other game, quite frankly.
I could see that, man. I'm watching the Twitch stream here, and the movement is almost identical, and the way that the camera shifts and pans in and pans out very subtly. It's even the animation of him running is just so akin to that.
Yeah, it really is, man. And like the only thing that's not like Inside is the fact that it's in color, not black and white, and it is like
Yeah.
a very vibrant game. I mean, a stark contrast to a game like Inside. You know, you have these gorgeous alien-looking colors, and the art direction is just very exotic. You know, they did a fantastic job of creating this very alien-like world. I guess there's some some mechanics where you can kind of rewind time. I haven't really seen those play too much yet, but you'll see in a moment here the character can kind of like make time go forward and backwards to get past the door, and he's lowering these bricks, and then if you were to use the left trigger, you can actually raise the bricks back up and rewind like the sunset and everything. This guy in the video that we have on Twitch did not do that, but you can go forward or backwards, but it's only in certain circumstances. You have to be standing on some sort of an amulet or like a plate, a symbol or something where you can activate that power, and I've only run into it twice so far, so my experience with it has been limited, and maybe that's where the Abe's Odyssey stuff starts to come in. I'm not seeing it yet, so
Yeah, it almost reminds me of Inside having a baby with Avatar and No Man's Sky.
I think
A lot of the color palette is similar, and some of the creatures and that sort of alien world kind of atmosphere is really similar.
I think that's an apt description. It does remind me of Avatar in a lot of ways. Very whimsical, lots of stuff flying around, colorful, bright. And it does kind of have a bit of a No Man's Sky look to it as well, too, because it's very geometric. Like, nothing is like truly like curved, everything is just a little blocky, but
Yeah, this is fresh, man. It's good to see something original.
yeah, I kind of wish I was getting something a little more original. The gameplay is so on the nose to Inside for me right now that they're practically the same game. And again, I'm very early. I guess it's like a 5 to 6 hour game, so I'll probably stick with it. I'll probably beat it. Maybe sometime this week I can sit down with it again and get a little bit more play in, but we'll see. So, shout out to Vestlord who just jumped in the stream with some extra viewers. Thanks for stopping by, man. We really appreciate the raid.
Oh yeah,
Got a raid from the Vestlord himself. I can't do the Randy Savage, man. But
I'm not even gonna try. He's a master at it.
oh man, he really is. But yeah, man. Planet Alpha. I think I'm gonna stick around with this one, and hopefully in about a week or two, I'll have a full review on it. If I can get it done by this week, then I'll be able to talk about it more in depth next week.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm a big fan of Inside, and this game looks so similar that I really want to hear about the rest of your experience with it.
Yeah, I mean the trailer that we're showing, or the video that we're showing in the Twitch stream right now, thankfully hasn't really gotten into like the action of the game, which I think might border on spoilers if we got to that point. So I'm going to cut it out at this point. But yeah, man, I think there's something special there, and I really hope we get to see a little bit more of these types of games, in the near future as well too. Game Pass has been really good at bringing in, I think, some quality indie titles. And I know July and August are shaping up to be big months for that. I can't wait for Hades. I think it's coming out real soon, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. It is. I saw it on the PS Store recently, and I want to say it's August. It's either this month or August. I don't think it's any later than that.
If I'm not mistaken, it's this month. But let me... Oh, no, it is August. August 13th. Damn you, Hades! Oh, God.
Well, it's not going anywhere, but yeah, that game looks extraordinary, man. I'm so excited to not play it on my MacBook.
Oh man, I still can't believe you bought it on that.
I was so desperate at the time to play that game, and at the time it was just PC and Switch, and I was like, well, shit.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so what else you got, man?
Demon Souls. I have made a return finally with my good friend Tom Jefferson James, who's been on the show, and we took a hiatus. He got really busy with pool. He plays pool in his free time and got pretty serious with it, so we had to kind of put that on the back burner. We were playing every Sunday morning early, usually anywhere from 7:30 a.m. to usually about noon, and we played yesterday, and man, what an experience. We had to kind of get our bearings because it had been, a few weeks since we had played. We had to figure out what we were doing. But once I realized how shitty my class was, I was playing as a knight, which is a kind of a tradition for Demon Souls. Like I love the aesthetic of being a knight. I grew up loving knight's armor and all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
when I was a child. and aesthetically, it's very pleasing to play that game in fluted armor. And I realized that maybe it's just in the remake, it's not that viable as an option because I just felt like a sluggish tank the whole time. That I was doing no damage, and I was like, this experience is just maddening. And here's Tom playing as a mage, just absolutely melting dudes. And I was like, you know what, man? Like I've never been a mage player. I don't typically like doing magic builds, but I gave in, and we switched up my class after we got done with an area, and then at that point, the two of us just felt like souped up World of Warcraft dudes that were just like absolutely destroying stuff, and it felt so wrong. Like it felt illegal, like we were just breaking the game, but it was legitimate. We didn't do
Yeah.
anything crazy. We just switched my character to a mage build, which is nice in the Souls games. You can pretty much change your class. Even if you picked, say, a knight class in the beginning, you can just change your stats and reallocate them and change your outfit so you're not wearing the fluted armor. And that's what we did, and it made the experience incredible. And pretty much every Souls game I've played as like a sort of sword and board setup. So a warrior or a knight is kind of my preferred class of choice. But man, I am loving this mage thing, man. I'm just shooting off soul arrows, and it's just so it feels so good. And yeah, we had a grand time. We beat quite a few worlds together,
Yep.
and things just kind of clicked. So I think we're going to be in tip-top shape for next Sunday.
So I think the burning question the chat wants to know is, do you wear armor when you're playing the game? Like, do you actually wear armor in person?
It's no.
No. So you don't wear any armor. Okay.
In person, no.
Yeah, you should. You should. We got some wonderful ideas for a YouTube channel for you, thanks to Epic Outro and Pencil Burn and Greggy in there. So I think you might be onto something, man. You should just sit down and wear like a full suit of armor, chainmail in the works, and just sit there and play video games. And we could just have a camera on you, and we can have a camera on the game. It could be a Twitch stream and everything, and people can comment, and you can ignore them and just play silently.
Dude, I bet you there's that's kind of odd. I bet you there's somebody that already does that. There's actually somebody I know that has a Twitch channel, and he dresses up as like a lieutenant from like a war.
Okay.
And that's his whole shtick. And I don't know how well that pans out, but that's what he does.
Would you
coconut water? Yeah, of course.
I can just picture, like, I'm losing it because I'm visualizing this in my head.
Just chainmail and coconut water chilled.
Oh my god, would you have to use a straw? I mean, like,
dude, never. You got to protect the planet, man. Unless it's stainless steel, then I would.
I mean, you're wearing chainmail. Of course, it's stainless steel.
It better be, man. You can't have a colorful plastic straw
hand forged drinking straw.
Yeah, right. Upgraded. There was this dude, Sean. I'm not going to say his last name, but this dude, Sean, that I used to work with, he used to go to those LARPing things. I don't know if you know what LARPing is, but
yeah.
He would dress up in chainmail and go to one of those live Braveheart war things that you do in the middle of the field, and he was dead serious about it. And no one made fun of him for it at all, which was really miraculous. He was a massive nerd. Would come into the store and fix his chainmail, and everybody just respected the hell out of him.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like if he was doing this shit in the 90s and he was in middle school or high school, he would have gotten murdered by like bullies. So I'm glad the times have changed.
In a former life, I dated somebody that was into going to Renaissance fairs, and then by proxy, both my parents started doing it as well. So I have never been quite able to escape the Renaissance fair thing. My parents dress up as pirates and go to events sometimes. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, he was totally into that kind of stuff.
Yeah. There's like an 80% chance that I may have walked by him once or twice.
You probably did, because he went to all of them.
Yeah. So yeah, small world.
Anyway. Yeah, he also changed the brakes on my old car. So nice. He didn't do it in chainmail either.
Missed opportunity. Missed opportunity, man. All right, so we got a couple things that we want to wrap up with here. First of all, I really want to talk to you about the Switch OLED.
Sure.
The news came out maybe Tuesday last week, or maybe even Monday, but we had already recorded the episode for the week. So we didn't have an opportunity to talk about it. How do you feel about this? Have you had a chance to take a look at it at all?
Yes, I actually had Christian, who I hope to have on the show at some point from my work. He kind of shouted out. He's like, "Hey, Will," and I'm like, "What's up?" And he goes, "Did you hear about the Switch OLED?" And I was like, "No." So he told me about it. I didn't even look it up yet, but from what I understand, we have an OLED screen, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It has an Ethernet port on it,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to be helpful for the folks that keep their Switch docked and they
Mm-hmm.
want to have it, have a stronger connection. And outside of that, I think it's a little bit more expensive, and that's all I know.
Well, that's all you know because that's all there is.
Oh, okay.
That's it, and it's $50 more for the OLED screen. It takes up the full real estate of the Switch screen, so the actual unit itself is slightly bigger. I guess it's a 7-inch screen, as Epic Outro just pointed out in the Twitch chat. It does have a better kickstand, so instead of that like one little flap, you actually have a kickstand that is the width of the entire Switch.
Oh, good.
The joysticks are identical, or the Joy-Cons are identical to the ones that are currently included, which is a problem because those things have a propensity to fail. It is a real issue, and Nintendo is just sweeping it under the rug. They don't give a fuck.
Hmm.
I guess allegedly it has better sound. I don't know anything about that, Dave. I guess it has larger internal storage, but that doesn't mean anything to me because storage is super cheap, and you can buy a 256 gigabyte SD card for like $50. So,
Yeah.
you've mentioned in the past that you had considered purchasing a new Switch.
Yes.
I feel if you were to do that, this would be the Switch for you to get.
I agree.
If you already had a Switch, there is no reason to buy a new Switch.
I also agree. And the reason why I agree is I think it's pretty clear, because it's not a huge amount of upgrades here. This is Christian and I discussed the Nintendo's reasoning behind this, and our theory is that this is just a filler. It's like a filler situation until they get the Pro out, because there is still talk of the Pro coming. And I think most Nintendo fans and even non-Nintendo fans that have always kind of wanted a Switch, they want to see something that's a little bit more up to par with the offerings of the Series X PS5's horsepower. And we don't have that yet. And Nintendo knows that, and they know that they're going to sell this thing in the meantime. So,
Right.
given the fact that I don't own one and I never owned a OLED Vita, which is a regret of mine, this is a good reason to own one. And the fact that it has an Ethernet port on it is definitely helpful considering my situation.
So, I mean, here's the thing, right? First of all, I don't think Nintendo is going to be releasing a Pro anymore. I think if they were going to do a Pro, they would have done it. They would have announced it when they announced this instead. And I think Nintendo is probably already looking towards the next generation of systems, right? It's easy for us to forget that the Series X and the PS5 are not the next generation because they play so many of the original games, right? But they are in fact next generation systems. So for Nintendo to rehash the Switch, they would be rehashing their old generation system rather than a new generation, first of all. Secondly, this is following a pattern that Nintendo has a history of doing going back decades. Look at the Game Boy Advance. You had the GBA, you had the SP, you had a couple revisions on the SP, including a better backlight on that. Look at the DS. You had the DS, the DS Lite, the DS XL. Then you had the 3DS, you had the 2DS, you had the new 3DS. There's been so many different revisions that Nintendo releases on these handhelds over the years that this is just another playbook example from Nintendo, in my opinion, of what they typically do during the life cycle of their systems. I don't recall what they did as far as the Wii goes or the Wii U. I don't think they really did a revision for the Wii U. They may have done a revision for the Wii. I know they released a red one at one point, but I don't know what the context of that was. I don't recall. So, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think we're going to see any. I don't think we're going to get a 4K Switch. I don't think we're going to get a a Switch Pro. I think we're going to get the next Nintendo system, which is going to be an evolution of the Switch that we already have with some new features, maybe including all those things that we just discussed.
I sure hope so, and I think those are some great theories, and they're probably pretty viable because Nintendo is tricky, man. I think we all know that they often have an ace up their sleeves at all times, and they always pull it out when you least expect it. And I feel like that's kind of what happened with the Switch. And yeah, I mean, I think you raise a good point about the Switch not even really being a next generation system because they are technically behind in terms of where they stand console wise.
Right.
So, I mean, the Switch has been out for a while,
Yeah.
a real good while.
So let's
So,
take a quick look. Nintendo
yeah,
Switch.
I think we need something. Yeah, please.
Because that came out 2017. March 3rd, 2017 was the original release date. So the
Okay.
Xbox One came out in 2013, and the PS4 came out around the same time. So they released
Same
this.
time.
They released this system when I want to say like when did the One X come out? Let's see, or Xbox One X. I feel like that was kind of around the same. Let's see here. So the One X came out, November of 2017. So
Yeah. So
Xbox
if you
was
want to
already
say
doing 4K
that,
at that point. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go on.
exactly. No, I was just going
Yeah.
to say that if they were in this race together, then they're late, and now they're behind.
Right.
So I think that's typical of Nintendo, and I think what you said about the handhold or the handheld ecosystem of Nintendo's portfolio there, they're notorious historically for having a lot of iterations of things, and with the Wii U and the Wii, they just released games and games and games. But when it comes to handhelds, they definitely have a history there
Yeah.
of like here's 18 different versions of the DS, for example.
Yeah. I mean, like I want to say like 3 or 4 different versions of the 3DS because I got my hands on a couple of them when our buddy Vincey's sister was going to throw them out. You know, she was getting ready to donate them. He grabbed them. So I have like a 3DS Lite or 3DS Mini, a 3DS Cookie. I don't fucking know. It's like there's like a bunch of them, and it's like you can't keep track. And then they did the whole new
No.
3DS line, which is absolutely bonkers. Like, why would you make a revision of a system that can, like, certain games can only play on that system? You know, like
Yeah.
it wasn't even like an upgrade. It was just it was a marketing thing, and it flopped. So, anywho,
Yeah, they haven't had many failures. I guess really just the Wii U is the one that most people kind of set their sort of sights on when it comes to, what is their biggest failure. That's certainly one of them.
right. I guess allegedly this new one is going to be able to do 60 frames per second on some games too. I have not played my Switch in a little while, but Joe in the Discord was talking about his frustrations with the system, having trouble running games at 60 or even at 30 consistently. So I'm curious to see if there's going to be something, patch-wise that certain games are going to be able to take advantage of that 60 or if it's just new games going forward. But either way, I'm pretty confident I'm going to be sitting this revision out. But when you buy your Switch, though, let us know how it is.
Yeah, I mean, at some point I have to, man. Bayonetta 3 is still in development, apparently, so your boy's going to have to get it at some point.
Food for thought. Switch OLED is $350, right?
Yep.
Xbox Series S is $299. Just saying. Just saying.
Cheap ploy. Cheap ploy.
Dude, I think I genuinely believe if you got a Series S and you got a Game Pass, man, you'd be good. You'd be good for a
I
long
would probably develop ADHD if that were to happen because Game Pass has so many games.
Oh, man.
I even have that happen when I load up my PS5. I try to stay away from the store. I think I talked about this in the last episode because it's so dangerous, man.
Yeah.
But Game Pass is different because, the games are free.
Right. Right. All right, let's talk about State of Play 2021. I can kind of sum this up in a word. I admit I kind of just skipped around But there really wasn't anything here that like stood out to me. It was a little disappointing. How'd you feel?
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I kind of shied away from this as usual because typically I'm not very impressed with these state of plays anymore or any kind of game show. And I did before the show started this evening. In preparation, I went back to see how many other state of plays there has been this year already. Because I
Mm,
was like, wait a second, we've already seen like at least one other one this year.
yeah.
And there was one on February 25th, April 29th, and May 27th, and then just recently, July 8th.
Mm,
So it was refreshing to see that I was certainly not going crazy. There's been a handful. And with this one, I just went on YouTube well after it happened, went straight to the PlayStation YouTube channel
hmm.
so I could actually see what came out. And I know there's a little bit of gameplay from Sifu, a game that you were
Mm,
pretty excited about.
yep.
Um, there wasn't a ton else, and that's fine, like these games are just not for me. It's nice to see that there are there's a little bit more of an emphasis of getting a spotlight on what's coming. I think Jet the Far Shore still looks like a pretty interesting game to me.
Mm,
That's something that I had talked about on previous episodes. Lost Judgment, I'm assuming, is a sequel to the game Judgment.
I'm not sure.
Death Stranding Director's Cut. I mean, cool. I haven't played the first game yet, so like I'm looking at that. I'm like, all right, well, it's just extra stuff. That's great. I don't know if that's going to be a free upgrade, considering I already own the game, so I'm not clear there.
Right.
It has inspired me to play the game because the director's cut trailer did look very impressive.
Okay.
And then with Deathloop and some of the other games, I was just like, it's whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, I guess pleased to see some action on Sifu and Death Stranding and Jet the Far Shore, but that's kind of my pull away there.
Hmm. Yeah. Jet the Far Shore looked pretty cool. I guess Deathloop looked interesting. It just Deathloop just seemed like a snarky first person shooter, like every other snarky first person shooter to me.
I mean, precisely.
Okay, I'm glad that I wasn't the only one that felt that way.
No, it's
Um,
snarky is a good way of putting it.
mm,
It's got that sort of like Borderlands humor style mixed with Apex Legends. It's just all that shit like wrapped up into one, and I'm just like, it's just not for me.
so in the Twitch chat, Epic Outro is saying that Death Stranding's upgrade is not free. Would that still be something that you would purchase, or would you just stick with what you have?
I would probably stick with what I have. I think that based on what I saw from the trailer, it's not substantial enough to warrant an entire separate purchase.
Mm,
I'm pretty sure I paid full price for the Death Stranding game on PS4, so I uh, I doubt that I would buy it again. It would have to be something really special.
yeah.
Because I don't even know what the game's like. If I played the game and I absolutely loved it, I think for all the folks that played it and loved it, they're probably going to want to get this. But
Right.
if I don't like the game and I don't play it and then I buy this and then I play it, then I'm stuck with two copies that I don't like. So I have to be careful there.
That's a valid point, and I had not considered that. Yeah. Uh,
I mean, I thought about it when the trailer came out. I was like, well, hang on a second.
yeah.
This looks great, and I would love to have the definitive version of this game. But it's a game that I haven't played. I mean, well, I
Right.
played like an hour, but it certainly wasn't enough to know what it's like. So
Right.
I think the safest and smartest thing for me to do is to play my vanilla copy. And if I like it, then I can upgrade to this when it's on sale.
Well, then this is a whole nother conversation too. It's like, when do you like where do you draw the line with like remasters or remakes when there's or director's cuts when there's so many other games that you haven't played that you want to play?
Yeah, I mean, Ghost of Tsushima, a very similar situation. There's a director's cut coming.
Yep.
I don't think it's a free upgrade. I already own the digital copy, so the answer is no to that one, and it's for the same reason.
Yeah.
The exact same reason.
Yep. These would be good opportunities for somebody like me if I was to get my hands on a PS5 to jump in. Just like with the Switch, if I don't already have it and I want it, like here's a good entry point. But if I already have it, it wouldn't make sense to rebuy it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I agree, man. So, any other thoughts on State of Play, or should we start to wrap it up for tonight?
Not really. If there's a couple more this year, which I think there probably will be, if this is kind of the cadence that they're doing, then yeah, I just hope to see a few more, kind of bangers in the mix, and hopefully we'll see what's ahead.
Yeah. Um, you haven't heard anything on Stray in a while, have you?
I want to say they mentioned that on the last one,
Okay.
not this last one, but I think the one before that. There was definitely something on Stray, definitely over the past like couple months. I
Okay.
remember there was something. It might have been from E3.
I don't remember hearing anything at E3, but it might have slipped under my radar.
Yeah, there was something, but I'm still excited for that game, man. I mean, you and I are cat people. I think a lot of our community in Discord and the WDGR community are cat owners. So I think to be able to play as a cat with a backpack is a no-brainer in our world.
Cat with a backpack. Love it.
Eat some tuna, man. Eat some tuna at 60 FPS.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, I guess we should wrap things up for this evening. What do you say?
That's probably a safe bet.
All right. So, first of all, thank you to our Patreon supporters, Keith Zallinger, Nick Naylor from Salt City Games, and Shannon Willis. Really appreciate you guys supporting the site and supporting our podcast. If you'd like to help us out and contribute, be a Patreon producer, you can do so at patreon.com/WDGR podcast. Every month, we put out a new podcast covering a video game movie. For the month of July, it's Tomb Raider. And coming up in August, I can do math. Coming up in August will be the classic Super Mario Brothers film. Cannot wait to do that. It's going to be
That is going to be an interesting one.
It is. We also share behind the scenes access to notes, photographs from our recording sessions, all kinds of stuff. So if that's something that you're interested in, swing on by and help support the site, help us become self-sufficient. We would really appreciate your patronage. Of course, you can just find us on the web at wdgrpodcast.com, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at WDGR Podcast. But most importantly, we have a Discord room. We'd love for you to join. There is a link for that in the show notes. Or if you're in the Twitch chat, just type in !Discord or something like that. I forget what the trigger was. And it'll give you a link that you can actually go to. Hey, it's coming across the scrolling right now. !Discord. So if you're not already in the chat, come on by, talk about video games with us. We would love to have you be a part of the community. We have an amazing community of like-minded individuals, and it's a ton of fun being in there talking about games with you guys. So the more the merrier.
Well said.
Will, if somebody would like to check out your tunes, how can they do so?
Damn it. Good thing I wasn't making a wish. My God, that smells good. SoundCloud.com/Will_gear.
I'm just going to smell my black tuxedo here. You can find me on Twitter at Scienstorm. I wonder if that echoes in the mic. I'm going to be, when I edit this later, it's going to be
It did a little bit.
Did it echo? Yeah.
It was like the two soup cans that are emptied out with the string.
Yes, very much so.
That's how we're doing this podcast. I mean, and in fact, folks, that's what we're going to be migrating to. Is we're getting rid of all this high-tech, state-of-the-art gear, and we're going to Campbell's soup cans with twine attached between the two.
Good old Will and Drew's soup adventure. Oh, God. Maybe the connection would be more stable. Anyway.
Probably would.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the site. Thanks for being a part of the Twitch stream. We'll see you next week, everyone.
See ya.